Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Natalia Leigh. I'm an indie author and the managing editor at Enchanted Ink Publishing. Today I'm going to be trying to clear up some confusion regarding copy editing and line editing. These are two editing services that are often confused with each other, and line editing especially. I think there's really a misunderstanding regarding what line editing is, what a line editor does. Are they kind of a developmental editor? Are they kind of a copy editor? What are they going to be doing to your manuscript? Do you need a line edit? So we are going to cover all of that today. If you have any questions at the end of this video, please make sure to leave them in the comments down below. And also you can always request content in the comments down below as well. I keep a running list of questions that have been asked of me so that I can hopefully sit down and make more videos to help you with your writing and publishing journey. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive right in and discuss the differences between line editing and copy editing. All right, so I'm going to start by just giving a very simple description of line editing and copy editing, and then we can talk about some of the specifics. So when I think line editing, I think artistic approach. A line editor is approaching your manuscript from a place of style, of craft, of rhythm and flow. They really are an artist stepping into your manuscript and helping it sound the very best it can. They are elevating your voice as an author so that you can more clearly and even lyrically communicate your story to readers. So think artistic approach when you're hiring a line editor. On the other side of the spectrum, we have a copy editor. And when I think copy editor, I think black and white. I think a more rigid approach, and that is a copy editor's job. A copy editor is approaching your manuscript from a place of right and wrong. Is this spelled correctly or isn't it? Are you using this comma correctly or aren't you? Should this be a semicolon or should this just be a colon? They are making sure that there aren't any errors in your book. A line editor is not looking at errors. A line editor is looking at the lyrical quality, how it sounds to your readers. A copy editor is making sure that it is correctly written. So both of these editors are incredibly important and they really will elevate your writing, but you have to decide which one would be most beneficial to you, or do you even want to work with both? So let's back up a little bit now and talk more specifically about some things that a line editor might do for your manuscript. And before we get too deep into this, I do want to kind of wave a warning flag and let you know that depending on which editor you hire, they are going to do things differently. You could look at 20 or 50 different editors across the board, and each one of them is going to offer something slightly different with their services. And I think that's part of what is so confusing about freelance editing services, is that every editor approaches it slightly differently. This copy editor might not do any line editing, or you might hire a copy editor who will do a little bit of it just to help you out, So I want you to understand the difference between these services, but also know this is going to vary greatly depending on which editor you hire. And it would even be beneficial, when you're starting your search for an editor, to make a list of what do you struggle with in your manuscript, and what are you looking for an editor to help you with? Across the board, everybody can benefit from a copy edit, but are you somebody who would also benefit from a line edit? Or do you think you only need a couple little things from a line editor and you want to ask your copy editor if that's something that they can help you with as well? So do keep that in mind. Every editor is going to be a little bit different. With that being said, again, a line edit is an artistic and more stylistic approach to your writing, and a line editor will be trying to elevate your story and your storytelling abilities while staying within your voice. I will sometimes have authors come to me and they're very concerned about their voice being changed throughout the editing process, and that is not something we do. We want to be as authentic as possible. We want to help our authors be as authentic and genuine as possible, and we never set out to change an author's voice. That's really important. So a line editor will address and oftentimes correct, depending on the scope of the issue, point of view errors such as head hopping or slipping from first person to third person, tense issues, filtering and filler words. I have an entire video on filtering and filler words. I will link it down below if you don't know what those are, or if you just need a bit of a refresher course on that. Repeated words and phrases, clunky sentences, and more. So all of that is really addressing how you are communicating your story to readers and how we can make sure that you're doing that in the best way possible. Now, a line editor, because they are focusing so intently on the artistic approach, they are not going to be looking for things like spelling errors. Granted, if they catch a really obvious spelling error, it's likely a nicety that they will correct for you. Plus, most editors just have like an innate need to correct errors, so they will probably do that for you. A line editor is not going to be looking at punctuation. If you are using a colon where a semicolon would be better, a line editor does not necessarily have to correct that for you. And the reason these things are different, I've had people ask me this question, like, can you just do a line edit and a copy edit for me? Even if an editor has the ability to do that, you know, they have the ability to understand punctuation and punctuation conventions. They know the Chicago Manual of Style like the back of their hand, or if there's something that they're not quite sure on, they know how to find those answers and how to navigate through the style manual of choice. Just because an editor can do that does not mean they are going to be doing it during a line edit, and I would even say it would not be of a benefit to you, because when you have a line editor or a copy editor and they are working very intently on your manuscript, they are focused on a certain set of things. So when I am looking for those types of things during a line edit, for example, I am not looking for, is this punctuation correct? Is this spelling consistent across the manuscript? Because my brain is in artistic mode. I right now have the paintbrush on this manuscript, and I am just trying to make it sound as beautiful and as well written as possible. If I am trying to do a copy edit and a line edit at the same time, I am not going to do the fullest job. I am not going to do my best work on either one of those fronts. You might think, hey, I'm gonna hire somebody to do both to try to save me some money, and you might be able to do so. I'm actually positive that you will be able to find an editor who will say, yes, I will do both of those in one pass for you. But if you do that, you're not going to get the best of either one of those services. You really can't have the best of both worlds when your editor is not fully focused on one or the other. So that is my kind of 2 cents on why I do not offer line editing and copy editing in the same service. We've discussed line editing a little bit, and now let's touch on copy editing. A copy editor is approaching your book from a relatively rigid standpoint. That's how I approach my authors, my clients' manuscripts, because I want to make sure that I am getting their work as clean and professional as I can. So I'm looking for the obvious things, which are going to be, you know, typographical errors, but honestly, those are not nearly as common in the manuscripts I edit than, let's say, punctuation errors. There are so many punctuation errors that writers don't even know about, and that's why a copy editor is important. How do you use an em dash? How do you use an en dash? What words should be hyphenated? How do I hyphenate compound adjectives? Are they hyphenated before the noun? Are they hyphenated after the noun? Those are things that your copy editor knows, and those are things that they are going to address. Your line editor doesn't care about your hyphenation. They just want to make sure that the compound adjective you're using is the best and the strongest that you can use to describe your noun. They don't care where your hyphenation is. Your copy editor is making you a style sheet. Your line editor might have started one for you as well. So your line editor, let's say they start a style sheet for you, your copy editor is going to take that style sheet. So make sure that you're getting it from your freelance editors. Make certain that they are providing you a style sheet. It is amazing how many people don't get style sheets from their editors. So your copy editor is going to take that, and they are really going to flesh it out, and they are going to put so much important information on that style sheet for you. Look at your line editor as the artist, and look at your copy editor as the person coming in with the rigid red pen to make sure that everything is kind of zipped up, buttoned up, professional, and ready for your readers. Okay, so now we have an understanding of what a line editor does and what a copy editor does, or at least a basic understanding, because again, Every editor is going to be a little bit different, and you'll want to ask your freelance editor exactly what they cover within each of these services. But which one do you need? Do you need both? Do you need either? So let's definitely touch on that, because this is something that I get asked frequently through Enchanted Ink Publishing. My very first question that I would ask somebody is, what are your goals with this manuscript? Are you writing this manuscript just because you want to have fun? It's always been your dream to write a book, and maybe some of your friends and family are going to buy it. In that case, you might not need a line edit or a copy edit. If this is just a passion project and you just want some of your friends and family to be able to enjoy it and to read your story, maybe you don't need editing at all in that instance. Now, let's say you're somebody who wants to become a part-time or a full-time author. This is something that you're really passionate about, and you want to try to supplement your income or make a full-time living this way. This is where I say, okay, it's time to start looking at these editing services and taking them seriously, because you want to be taken seriously by your readers and as an author. So that is where I say copy edit, absolutely bare minimum. It could also be at this point in your process that you start deciding if you want to bring a line editor onto your team. I see line editors and line editing as the cherry on top, the whipped cream and the cherry on top. They are indispensable. They are incredibly important, and they can elevate your writing from here to here. Or let's say, here's your writing, here's where you get with a copy edit, but if you get a line edit before that, you could be way up here. If you are already at the point where you're saying, okay, I want to be taken seriously, I am taking myself seriously, not only have I hired and worked with a copy editor, maybe on previous books, but now moving forward, I'm ready to work with a line editor. And do keep in mind that line editing comes before copy editing. Copy editing is one of the last editing services you'll get. You'll get your copy edit, your format, and then the proofread is the very, very last one. But a line edit comes before a copy edit, because your line editor is going to be rewriting things, maybe moving things around, and some errors could definitely get introduced during that process, and they're also not correcting errors for you. That's something that your copy editor is going to do. So when deciding, do I want a line edit? Would I benefit from a line edit? Many, if not most manuscripts would benefit from a line edit, especially if you struggle from a craft perspective. So maybe okay, I struggle with sentence structure and I have so many fragments in my work that it's really confusing. Maybe your beta readers even pointed that out. A line editor would help you. Maybe you struggle with tense. Maybe you struggle with point of view. If there are very small tense or point of view issues, a copy editor can address those for you. But if you have large scale tense or point of view issues, this is something best handled by a developmental editor or a line editor, as long as they know what your manuscript needs and can confirm that they are ready to do the amount of work it would require to rewrite significant portions of your novel for tense or point of view. So you need to understand where you are in your writing journey, what you need to become a better writer and a better storyteller. And if you know, okay, here are my problems, I know a copy editor won't address those, but I want this professional help, that is where you look to hire a line editor, because they're going to help you with all of those craft problems that the copy editor won't necessarily help you with. Again, a copy editor might help if it's a small problem that's going on. Like if I see filtering in the novels that I'm copy editing, if it's a small problem and it just pops up here and there, sure, I will usually go ahead and correct that for my clients. But if filtering is everywhere in the manuscript, it is not my job as the copy editor to rewrite and correct filtering. So at that point, I would pull back. I would probably point it out a few times, and then in the reader report, I would let the author know this manuscript would benefit from a revision for filtering, or this is something that you might consider getting a line edit next time so that we can clean this up for you before it goes into the copy editing process. So it's really understanding what your goals are as an author, where your skills are, where your craft and your storytelling skills are, and then where you're trying to go. I hope that I have helped clear up some of the questions about line editing and copy editing. If you are looking for a line edit and or a copy edit, please come check us out at enchantedinkpublishing.com. We have very limited availability for line editing. We currently only have 2 editors on the team who offer line editing services. So if you know that you're going to want to work with us on a line edit, make sure that you are getting booked at least 6 to 8 months in advance is what I would suggest. And then for copy editing, we have 5 editors on the team. We all do copy editing. We have one kind of like nonfiction specialist. So if you are looking for nonfiction editing, that books out very quickly as well. So again, come check us out, enchantedinkpublishing.com, if you are looking for manuscript critique, line editing, copy editing, proofreading, formatting, cover design. We've got you covered on all of those fronts. That will be linked down below. As always, you can always leave questions down there, and I will try to get to those as quickly and efficiently as possible. Thank you so much for watching this video today. I hope that you found it beneficial to you and your writing and publishing journey, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!